Hi everyone, welcome to Flash and Thrive. Today we are talking about the phases of skill acquisition. In order to understand the phases, you must know what is a skill. That video is already uploaded on the channel, so please go and watch that video and then come back to this video. Skill learning progresses through different stages, with each attempt leading to a more smoother, less effort demanding, and more automatic performance. Improvement occurs in each phase of skill development. Occasionally, however, it is interrupted by what is known as performance plateau. Once the next phase starts, performance resumes its upward trend. Now let's try to understand this with the help of an example. Suppose that you are trying to learn how to ride a bike. So first we have the initial learning attempts. When you first learn to ride a bike, your performance is a bit awkward. You struggle to balance, pedal, and steer all at once. It's not smooth, and you need to consciously think about all the different actions, which makes it a bit challenging. Next, we have the improvement over the different attempts. So as you make successive attempts, your performance becomes smoother. It becomes more spontaneous or automatic. You don't have to think as much about the balancing and the pedaling, and it starts to feel more comfortable. Next, we have the performance improvement. With each practice session, you become more adept at handling the bike, turning, and navigating in different terrain. You feel that you are getting better at the skill as you go through the learning process. Now we come to what is known as a performance plateau. However, during the learning process, there might be times, especially when you are transitioning from the more basic skills to learning more advanced maneuver, when it seems like your progress in riding the bike is temporarily paused. This is known as a performance plateau. This is the shape of a plateau. As you can see, it is flat on the top and has sides which are steepening. So let's say this is your level of initial skill where you started learning that skill. After some time, your skill level starts to rise as you become more and more better at that. After some point, your skill becomes stagnant. There is no further improvement in it. So this is known as the performance plateau. You feel that your bike riding ability at this time is not advancing as quickly as it did in the previous phase. After this performance plateau, there is a resumption of improvement. This means that your bike riding skills begins to rise once more and you continue to enhance your overall proficiency. Now that we have covered the basics, we can dive into one of the most influential models of skill acquisition, which was presented by Fitz and Posner in 1967. According to their model, skill learning can be conceptualized in three different phases. The first is the cognitive phase. In the cognitive phase, the learners are at the initial stage of their skill acquisition. This involves identification and development of the component parts of the skill, which means forming a mental picture of the skill. Let's apply this to our bike riding example. During the cognitive phase of learning how to ride a bike, you are actively forming a mental picture of that skill. You just focus on understanding how to balance the bike, pedal smoothly, and steer in the right direction. Other than that, every instruction from your teacher, the different cues that you get from your environment, and even your own bodily responses, you are consciously processing that. What does that mean? You are explicitly aware of it. You're actively thinking about it. Next, we have the associative phase. Moving on to the associate phase, learners work on linking the identifying component parts. Different sensory inputs or stimuli are connected with the appropriate responses, which creates a more fluid and more coordinated action. This phase involves practicing the skill and using feedback from others or from yourself or from the environment to perfect that skill. Now let's apply it to a bike riding example. During the associate phase of learning how to ride a bike, you are practicing and refining your movements. You link the sensory inputs such as the feel of the bike, the feel of the terrain, and your body's position with the appropriate responses. And then feedback from your instructors or your personal observation plays a crucial role in perfecting your technique. Let's move on to the next phase, which is the autonomous phase. Now, when we progress further, learners reach the autonomous phase. What happens here is the skill becomes highly automated and performance becomes fluid and natural. Not all performers reach this phase. This is important to note. This phase involves little or no conscious thought or attention while performing the skill. In the autonomous phase of learning how to ride a bike, the skill has become your second nature. You can effortlessly navigate, balance, pedal without actively having to think about each action like you were doing in the first phase. Your bike riding skill has become autonomous. You can focus on enjoying the ride or making strategic decisions. Now, let's look at some practice questions. During the cognitive phase of skill acquisition, learners focus on reducing errors, linking sensory inputs, developing automaticity, or forming a mental picture of the skill. The correct answer is D. In the associative phase, what happens as practice continues? Errors increase, performance remains constant, errors decrease and performance improves, or there is no change in the performance. The correct answer is C. What characterizes the autonomous phase of skill acquisition? Increased conscious thought, minimal demands on conscious effort, initial stage of learning, introduction of errors. The correct option is B. In the context of bike riding during the associative phase, what is emphasized to improve efficiency? Minimizing practice, ignoring feedback, decreasing errors intentionally, or using feedback to perfect the skill. The correct answer is D. If you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one.